Hey team, I want to talk to you today about swimming your best performance in a triathlon, so your best swim split. And for me, I've always found that it comes from doing one key workout, and that workout is 6 by 300 yards with 30 seconds rest at threshold, or what I like to also call it is maximum sustained pace. So the maximum pace that I can sustain on every single 300. And so how do you find that threshold pace, or MSP, maximum sustained pace, hard to say, is the way to do it is to do 3 by 100. So in our case, yards. If you have a meter pool, you can do 100 meters, but 3 by 100 yards. And it's key to make sure you take 10 seconds rest. And you also need to time every one of your hundreds because you need to find your average pace. So I'm going to use some real numbers. Typically when I'm coming off, say a off period where I haven't swam maybe in a month or two, I might find that my average 100 pace is 122. So what you want to do is you want to find your average 100 pace, and then you want to round up or down to the nearest 5. So with 122, I'm going to round down to 120. If I was 123, I would round up to 125, and then we're going to add the send-off, and so we're going to add the rest period to get a send-off. For me, when I'm swimming really well, I can maintain just under a 120 pace. So that's always my goal when I start, because I know that historically I've been able to maintain that. So if I turn in my 122s, I know that I have some work to do to get down to below 120, maybe even 118. Okay, so for me, I found that's 122. I'm going to lower it down to 120. So when I do, I'm going to start with, we know that you can do 3 by 100 yards, especially we're going to take 30 seconds rest because you just did 3 by 100 with 10 seconds rest. So at a 120, if we add 30 seconds to that, that means my send-off is going to be 1 minute and 50 seconds. So I'm going to leave at the top on the pool clock, and then I'm going to leave again when it's on the 50, and the next one's going to be on the 40, and then 30 and 20, and so on. If I was doing 125s, if I had rounded up to 125, then I'm going to leave on the 155. So if I left on the top, the next time I'd leave on the 55, and then the 50, and so on. So you figure out your pace, you round it up, to the nearest 5, and then you're going to add 30 seconds, and that's going to be your send-off. Your send-off is every time that you leave on the next one. And so what that means is, in this case of the hundreds, if I was tired and I was coming in at 124, I'm still leaving on 150, so I'm getting a little bit rest. If I swim faster and I come in at, say, 118, then I'm getting like 32 seconds rest. But that keeps you on target. It makes sure that you don't get too much rest. So build up to 6 by 100, and again, maintaining your pace. Don't move up to the 150s until you can nail 6 by 100 and hit that pace. So 122 in my case every time, or better yet, even 120, coming in at a 120 with a 150 send-off. So after I get to 6 by 100s, I'm going to move to 150 yard sets. And I might start with 3 of those. And so I'll do 3 by 150, again, maintaining a 30-second rest. So in this case, 120 becomes 2 minutes. So 2 minutes with a 30-second rest becomes send-offs every 2:30. So I leave on the top of the swim clock, leave on the 30, leave on the top, just back and forth. If the example was the 125, we're going to round that up. It actually comes into 207 per 150, so I'm going to round that up to 210. So coming in around 210, leaving 30 seconds later on the 240. So if I leave at the top, 2 minutes and 40 seconds later, basically just take off 20 seconds. So then I'm going to leave on the 40, then the 20, and then the 60. So I'm going to do my 3 by 150s now with 30 seconds rest, and then I'm going to build up either each week, or I might even do this workout twice a week. So I start doing 4, I nail 4, and then I add a 5th one and then a 6th one. Once I get to my 150s and I have those locked in and I'm able to do that maximum sustained pace, in this case coming in at 2 minutes, leaving on 2:30 for myself, I'm going to bump up to 200 yards. And I'll go back to doing 3 by 200 yards with 30 seconds rest. So in this case, it's easier because you just double the time. So I'm taking my 120 and I'm going to double it to 240, add 30 seconds rest. It means 3 minutes and 10 seconds is my send-off. So if I leave on the top, next time I'm leaving on the 10, then I'm leaving on the 20, and then the 30, and so on. And then if we did the 125 example, double that is 250. So now I'm leaving every 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So again, if you leave on the top of the swim clock, you're going to leave on the 20, and then on the 40, and then on the top. Okay? So once I nail my 3x200s, then I'm going to work my way up to adding a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. And when I get to where I can do 6x200s with 30 seconds rest, and again, nailing my send off and nailing my swim paces, then you can either do 250s or you can do 300s. I've always found that if I can do 6x200s, I can very easily jump to 3x300 yards, because if you're doing 6x200s, you're at 1,200 yards for your main set. So now we're going 3x300s, and the main set yardage, cuts down 25%. So you go from 1,200 yards in your main set to 900 yards. And I found that if I can maintain my 200-yard pace, it's very easy to bump right up to the 300. So I skip the 250s and I just go right up to the 300. If you want to go to the 250s first before the 300s, that's fine. Just do the math and you're good to go there. It might add another month to your training. So in the example of using 300s, a 120 pace becomes 4 minutes at 30 seconds. So the send off is 4:30. If I was using a 125 example, triple that, it becomes 4 minutes and 15 seconds, add 30 seconds, and now I'm at a 4:45 send off. Okay, so if you can figure out your maximum sustained pace, and then by doing 3x100s with 10 seconds rest, average that pace, round up to the nearest 5. And then when you do your workouts, just build from sustaining hundreds and work up to 6 of those, and then sustaining 150s, work up to 6 of those, and then 200s, again, working up to 6, going back down to like 3x300s and working up to 6x300s. And I guarantee you, when you can nail 6x300s at that threshold pace, that maximum sustained pace that you establish by doing your hundreds, you'll have a fantastic race, and you'll probably even set a personal best on your swim for your next race. And of course, I would love to hear after your race when you're super excited and you tell me you've had the best swim ever. Thanks.